Our democratic roots run deep. We are truly a democracy.
Botswana just proved that real democracy exists in Africa.
Botswana Democratic Party suffering.
Botswana's new president, Duma Boko, is
Botswana President Duma Boko.
Botswana's newly elected president.
I wish to congratulate the opposition on their victories and concede the elections.
Botswana has just achieved what many countries can only dream of. A peaceful election that ended a party's
58 years in power.
Without a single act of violence. No drama, no corruption.
It was peaceful. It was seamless. It was orderly.
This is democracy done right, and it's setting a standard for the rest of Africa. From being the world's third poorest country in 1960 to becoming a leader in economic freedom today, Botswana might just be Africa's perfect democracy.
The first thing that we need to appreciate as the African continent is that we have done very badly when it comes to democratic governance and the running of the democratic process, which is why it seems somewhat shocking, surprising, something of an anomaly when power changes. Because
when parties rule for 58
years, many may have felt, will this outcome be accepted? Will power really change? Well, it did in Botswana.
This is a landlocked country that once depended entirely on the financial aid from Britain just to survive. Today, it stands as a shining symbol for prosperity and economic freedom. This small African nation has built a reputation as the least corrupt country in Africa. To understand how this happened, I need to explain to you 100 years worth of history in just 5 minutes. So, time me. In 2012, opposition parties joined together to create the Umbrella for Democratic Change to challenge the Botswana Democratic Party, which had been in power for decades until 2024 elections. Since the UDC is a coalition, its members have different ideas on how to run the country. They campaigned for things like wealth distribution, renewable energy.
That the country must be powered on 2 engines. The one is the green economy. The other is the digital economy.
And the most important promise was to reform the country's system to encourage young people to participate in governments and the economy. Some people call the approach a democratic socialism, but the new president, Duma Boko, and other party members have opposed both capitalism and socialism. Instead, they advocate for something in between, a third way. This appealed to many voters who felt that Botswana's wealth, especially the diamond riches, were not fairly distributed. After 58 years of the same party in power, the people in Botswana were ready for change. The Botswana Democratic Party had become complacent and disconnected from the needs of the ordinary citizen, which is ironic considering that this is the same party that brought independence to Botswana under the leadership of the founder, Seretse Khama. This was the man who laid the foundation for Botswana's success.
Our neighbors and friends in Namibia and South Africa are still to experience political independence and freedom.
He became the country's first president in 1966 when Botswana gained independence from Britain. Back then, Botswana was in a bad spot, like really bad. It was one of the poorest countries in the world with no infrastructure to speak of. There were only about 100 people to graduate from high school. The country was mostly desert and they didn't even have a reliable source of water. People joke that Botswana was so poor that it was a country without hope. But shortly after independence, Botswana struck gold, or rather, diamonds. Most countries with diamonds suffer from the resource curse, where wealth leads to corruption and conflict. But Khama and Botswana's Democratic Party handled it different. But diamonds alone didn't create the Botswana we see today. Seretse Khama had a vision for the country. Khama aligned Botswana with Western countries and international institutions. He made sure the country had friends in high places, which helped in trade and aid. The country's strategy were perfect. Yes, Botswana was lucky to discover diamonds, but they used the money wisely, lowered corruption and improved education and focused on democracy. Seretse Khama and Botswana's Democratic Party turned what could have been a disaster into one of Africa's biggest success stories. In my young opinion, Seretse Khama was one of the greatest strategists to ever live. Since gaining independence in 1966, Botswana has been a multi-party democracy. The Botswana Democratic Party delivered impressive economic growth and consistently provided quality service. This performance earns the trust and votes of the people for the last 5 decades. But on 30th October 2024, the people made a different choice. This is how a democracy is supposed to run. Power lies with the people, not a single party or government. Africa's strongest democracy has once again set an example for the world. A party that ruled for 58 years was peacefully unseated in a fair election. No wars, no corruption. Just the will of the people being heard. For Africa, this is a nation where elections are not just peaceful, but also inspiring. From humble beginnings in 1966, Botswana's story is one of progress, freedom, and hope. In Botswana, democracy isn't just an idea, it's reality. This is one of the rare cases in Africa where a party had control for 58 years and peacefully gave up power. Botswana is showing the world how democracy is done.